Hey guys, what's up? It's your boy Shanus, and this year I'm releasing this holiday gift guiders buy a video a little early just because if you haven't been paying attention to the world, there's been some issues with shipping as far as like shipping docks being just jam-packed, not enough labor going around. So of course, unfortunately, there's been a lot of other factors like COVID and the chip shortage that have just added to this particular situation. So rather than do this later in the year like I usually do, I decided to drop this at the beginning of November. So for those of you that have no idea what to buy, that car lover or a car enthusiast in your life, you have an idea. Now, if you happen to be that car lover or enthusiast in that other individual's life, feel free to send them a link to this video. I will post links of the things that I share. And again, take this with a grain of salt. These are just ideas and things that, sometimes people don't readily think of. A lot of these are going to be specific to car culture. However, some of these are going to be a little bit of a stretch. However, I do feel that most of these kind of go hand in hand with the likes and interests of the car community. So with that being said, please don't hate on me if there's something that you're like, wow, that was kind of a reach, because like I said, there are going to be a few ideas that I'm just trying to make life easy for everybody, especially since some of these things are going to be a little more difficult to get their hands on. So with that being said, let's jump straight into it. And the first thing that I'm going to knock out of the way is Etsy. A lot of you, for whatever reason, don't think of this particular site because a lot of people associate it with like arts and crafts and little things like that. However, there's a lot of neat stuff that you could find there, and all you have to do is type out the vehicle of choice, or even, for example, like a performance line, a part, a modification, and you'll pleasantly find that there's a lot of variety there. I'll show you a few examples. So the first one is, for example, when I bought my N line, I wanted something that had the N logo to associate with my keys and whatnot. So I was able to find this. And for those of you guys who have been following me, you'll know that I actually gave one of these away as well as one of the prizes in one of my giveaways. You can find other things, like for those of you guys into anime, like little keychain trinkets and whatnot. But another cool thing is that for those of you guys into apparel, you guys have probably seen me wear this shirt before. And again, I also gave away a beanie in one of the giveaways. Things like this, a Veloster t-shirt. I think it's pretty cool. There's just a lot of little things that you can find there. And again, a lot of them are just really easy on your pockets, meaning that they're cheap and affordable. So why not take a look? Go check out that website. The nice thing about it is that you're also more than likely helping out an individual or a small business, unlike a corporation. So for those of you guys that are like big on that, go ahead and check that out. Do keep in mind that these are typically things that are run by one individual or just a handful of people. So there might be a little bit of time associated with them making whatever you're requesting or whatever product they're advertising. So just, jump on that early so that way you're not late. But real quick, since I showed off a shirt, I would say apparel. So a lot of performance companies like Vivid Racing, this is Gretty, aka the Boost Brigade, they will sell their own products of car enthusiast apparel. There's even a lot of other like fashionable brands in like the urban industry, like DGK, that are actually tapping into the whole tuner perspective. They have a really cool tuner line, which I'm going to show like a picture right here. And they sell shirts, skateboards, things of that nature. It is something that I would definitely check out for that car lover in your life. So while we're still on the topic of small vendors that I brought up in Etsy's conversation, there's also Instagram, which I know many of you are on, whether you're following car culture, car events, or even just particular car builds. You'll also probably notice that there's a lot of sticker vendors. And while there's a lot of them oriented towards anime and peakers and whatnot, you'd be surprised that there's actually quite a variety of other types of designs, whether they're just kind of cutesy designs or even things such as like these particular stickers, the infamous toe sticker for vehicles. This is kind of a little gag on the whole YouTube certified. But of course, like I mentioned, there's also cutesy stickers like this drive safe. There's the whole anime peakers, right? But they've also kind of jumped into a particular different market where you can also find things related to gaming and even pop culture. So of course we have here Jury, which is from Street Fighter, and Bad Bunny in an Itachi costume. If you haven't heard his particular song or seen that music video, and you'd probably miss the reference. But again, pop culture is coming out. They're starting to animate and draw particular artists. And of course there's the K-pop, like the Blackpink, BTS, all that jazz. So Stickers are definitely kind of a nice cool thing, especially because at the very least you'll see many cars having some sort of gag or sticker on their particular vehicle. So definitely help support a small business. And speaking of small businesses, so many of you guys have probably seen me advertise this little thing, and you guys have probably seen it all over TikTok. Well, I bring good news because there's actually a particular variant that existed before this one from Import Bible. So if you can't get your hands on this little box right here, I understand this individual is a one-man show that's essentially ordering, creating these things, testing them out, and making sure they get shipped out. So while they do pre-orders and they get them out particularly within a month, which is quite quick, if you can't snag your hands on this one, then fear not, because there are other options. However, for those of you that have no idea what this is, I'm going to show you real quick, and I'm actually going to go over why this one is particularly cool, because it does have the possibility to customize and make this appropriate for the KDM culture, or for the lady-driven vehicle out there who does not want a waifu but maybe a husbando. So with that being said, so if you're in that boat and you're clueless to what this is, so these are particularly made popular because in Japan they have these little like cute chimes when you go onto like the subways or even entering certain buildings. So somebody of course made a particular one of these. I don't know if Import Bible was the first, but essentially they have a little USB connector, and once you turn on your vehicle and this receives power, it'll do a little intro chime. And I do believe that mine's set up to a custom one that I made on this particular box. So So as you can see, this one was one of the waifu prison sounds that's included in it. But it's really neat because there's, I believe on this one, 50 preloaded, and there's, whoa, didn't know I made other sounds. And this one is cool because it allows you to put your own custom sounds into it. So you guys heard that little jingle. I essentially customized mine to essentially have the little Hyundai jingle that's at the end of a lot of their YouTube videos, and then put a like BTS sound clip. So yeah, you can do a lot of things with this. I'm actually going to do an in-depth video for those of you interested in this, because I've done other things like Blackpink and a few other K-pop references and Korean specified things. So for those of you that do not drive a JDM vehicle, you would have options and variety to make this kind of actually match your vehicle. These come preloaded with sayings for like Nissans and Toyotas and things like that. So again, more towards the JDM side, but JDM is definitely synonymous with the import car culture, so these things are pretty cool. Earlier, while I was kind of going over the apparel, I mentioned that there's a lot of larger brands now diving into the car culture community and that whole scene. So there's also novelty items by other brands. This is cool because I kind of posted this on Instagram. Suavecito, which is a well-known hair product brand, one that I personally really like. Again, I'm not being paid for this, but they made a collaboration with AEM Performance. This is the little 2-box special package, so it looks like an AEM filter box. They've also done collaborations with Fast and the Furious. And it's really neat because these guys aren't the only ones doing collaborations. There's, of course, tons of other companies. All you got to do is really look for them. But I can also appreciate it because while you're saying, hey, like, I don't really need hair product, they've actually made collaborations with actual clothing. So particularly for the Fast and Furious line, they have a lot of shirt designs that have both logos embedded on them. And, of course, like I said, if you're into hair product, it smells really good. They usually do unique smells for their collaborations, so this actually does not smell like their typical OG scent. And then these actually smell like the squash air fresheners. So I thought that was kind of a really cool little trinket. And again, they're affordable. They're typically about like 13 bucks. This one, because it's a 2-pack, is like 24. So if the guy in your life likes to have some sort of hair pomade, or if you just want to buy him a t-shirt, they're pretty cool. Look into these, or of course look into other brands that are doing car collaborations like DGK, which I mentioned earlier. So of course, other things that go unanimous with the car scene is of course just all types of media, whether it's music or videos or movies. And what other movie to bring up than Fast and Furious itself, So I bring this up just because I'm pretty sure everybody's seen it. Everybody probably has a copy of it. However, this is the 20th anniversary edition. For those of you guys that are old enough to have remember seeing this before you could buy a car, it's 20 years since the original movie came out, so they remastered it in 4K, gave it this really cool little neat steelbook case. So again, this would be an awesome gift for somebody that's a fan of the movie. I know personally, as corny as it is and as cringy as some of the lines in there are, now that I know more about cars, I've also memorized a lot of lines, and it's just kind of a guilty pleasure. But since we're on the subject of media, there's also video games. Now I know that there's not a lot in the sense of things going on, but recently for you Microsoft Xbox fans or PC gamers, Forza Horizon 5 came out, and I know that that's a big title. For us PlayStation fans, we have to wait till Gran Turismo 7 comes out next year, but that's definitely one of the big titles. There's also, of course, other car games like Project Cars and things of that nature, even Need for Speed, which they haven't come out with a new one recently, but of course, if you haven't picked up any of the copies, they're pretty excellent, fun games to have fun with. So there's a little bit of something for everyone. Now, if you're not a video game fan, however, and you're more of a tabletop fan, this is really cool. I'm releasing this and posting this because this just came out on Kickstarter. You guys may have seen advertisements for this on Instagram if you're following car related things, but there's this new tabletop card game called War, which stands for World Auto Racing. But they have a Kickstarter live right now. It's basically a card building strategy game that you get to play with other people that have this. As of the time of this video, the starter card decks, which is basically comes with 3 pre-made decks within a box, is $50, and then of course they have a $100 version where you can get 2 of those boxes of those card building decks along with a custom mat, and then of course you can add on additional cards. Your boy has actually backed it because I love tabletop games, so this is a picture of it right here. And again, if you're not into video games, but maybe you're into card games, this is one to look out for because I do believe at the end of this month, November, the Kickstarter officially ends, and they'll start shipping these out early next year. So if you want to be one of the first and don't want to have to wait to actually get your hands on it, I definitely recommend jumping on the Kickstarter. Last things I'm going to wrap up are, of course, dress-up kits, just anything to make your car stand out. And of course, I'm focusing on the cheaper side. You guys have seen that I've done these on 2 different vehicles already. This is the Govey Dream Color RGB interior lighting kit. They've actually come up with an updated version, which is this one. I have not installed it yet. As you can tell, it's still in the box, so video to come. But this one's a little cheaper than the ones that I've usually gotten, essentially because this is 100% phone app controlled. You don't have to have that little key fob, and I can't get, I'm excited to get my hands on this and basically install it. It looks really promising. It might be a little bit more advanced than the last slightly more expensive kit. So again, this was like 25 bucks. It's a steal. Even if you go for the one with the key fob because you want to control it without a phone, 35 bucks is a cheap price. And a lot of times they have sales where you can get it for like $30. So that's a plus. Another one, of course, is if you guys followed my last giveaway, one of the gifts that I gave away in the giveaway was a dress-up kit. And of course, there's tons of companies that do dress-up things and these types of products for vehicles. But again, I'm just showing one facet of it is you can get washer kits. These are in rose gold, again, for a future product. And of course, they come with their bolts and everything to replace your current bolts. But also you can get cool things like the matching radiator cap covers with the same color scheme that you're going for. So this one, of course, again in rose gold, comes in nice packaging. 6Speed is one of those brands that's well known for kind of dipping their hands into the customization scene, whether it comes to like bolts, the covers for these things, tow hitches and lug nuts, just to name a few things. So that's definitely one of the brands that I would recommend, especially just because they're universal in the fact that they support a lot of more modern cars, not just older. But they also probably are one of the few brands that have a wide variety of color options as opposed to like your eBay brands or even back in the day Skunk 2, which only had like a handful of colors. So definitely something I'd recommend. A full kit of these washers is I think 20 pieces, comes out to be roughly like 25 bucks, and then I think this thing was like $10, I can't remember. But again, they're very affordable, and for that person that wants to kind of show off the underside of their engine, whether they have an intake or whatnot, then you know these would be a great add-on. So that way the next Cars and Coffee, once they pop their hood, there's a little bit of nice color underneath that hood. And before I get to the products where I'm kind of like really reaching, of course, I'm just going to state that this is the expensive segment. So if price is not an issue, as you can tell, most of the things that I just marked off were quite affordable. But again, if price is not an issue, then this next segment is for you. So if price is not an issue, of course, the first thing that I'm going to mark off my list is an oil catch can. So for those of you guys not familiar with my channel, my primary focus is KDM, which is Korean vehicles. A lot of their modern vehicles have had engines that have something called gasoline direct injection, which, just to dumb down, essentially means that unfortunately not everything in the top valve train gets cleaned by fuel. So an oil catch can is essentially a big deal for me, because if you plan on keeping your vehicle long term and you just want to keep a healthy vehicle, this is a great investment to help the longevity of it. Now, of course, you can get a cheap eBay option, but since we're talking about gifts, why not make the life easier of that individual? So there are pre-made kits, and of course I am biased towards the ADDW1 kit, just because of the fact that they have that extra feature of customization when it comes to color options and whatnot. And since I was just mentioning adding color to your engine bay with those 6-speed products, of course this just makes sense. Now, if you want to go fancier, of course you can buy custom air intake kits and other crazier things like exhaust systems, but those are just kind of a handful of things that of course you could buy for that specific individual. Or perhaps maybe they want to get into chronicling what they've been doing with their vehicle, whether it's taking pictures or just filming their adventures. Maybe they want to film their track days if they're into that. Maybe they like to go on cruises and they just want to kind of get memories of their scenic routes. One of the perfect things that you could buy, of course, is always a camera, and this right here is a GoPro. I'm sure none of you guys are strangers to this. They just recently came out with the GoPro 10, which, yes, I recently got one myself, which is why it still has that little film on it, the little 10 logo right there. And it's really neat just because this thing did an amazing job at helping me film the KDM cruise a month ago. And I'm coming from a GoPro 3, so I waited quite a few iterations to get the new latest and greatest. But you don't have to buy a 10. They have 9s. They have the GoPro 8 still out, so that way you can save a little bit of money. Realistically, any kind of camera, whether it's an action cam or even a point and shoot camera or a full body DSLR, just depending on what they want to do, whether they want to film or whether they just want to take really great pictures of their vehicle, you can never go wrong with the camera. And while we're on the subject of camera, don't forget to buy endless amounts of batteries. These are for the camera that is filming currently, and I go through these a lot. I have about 5 of them that I charge, and of course I get to inter swap, just because, unfortunately, because camera bodies are getting smaller, like the GoPro, so is the battery. And of course, with all the extra features, batteries just kind of drain really quick. This camera that I'm filming on, because it could do 4K, will probably drain within an hour best. I'm not making that up. The GoPro will last you up to 2 hours, but I'm pretty sure if you go full 4K with like the high frame rates, it'll last even less. So batteries are a great investment. But alongside batteries, also just camera accessories. So this is like a suction cup for an action cam. This works for GoPros. This works for the new DJI action cameras, which is also a great option and competitor to GoPro. And a lot of times you can find some of these that will actually support a heavier camera like the one I'm filming with. So definitely there. Since I'm talking about cameras, even dash cams nowadays, with just, especially if you live in a highly trafficked area like a city, it's definitely a best to invest in a dash cam, so that way you have something just constantly recording. Forbid you get into an accident, you have some sort of defense and some sort of proof to basically back up your story. And of course, they come in a wide variety of designs, sizes, and prices, but you can find an affordable option and a decent one for about $50. And then of course the prices just go up depending on all the extra features, whether you have cloud storage, GPS tracking, dual cameras where you have one facing the rear. They even make some where they have internal cameras, so they record the inside. Forbid you get pulled over and you just want to prove that maybe you were mistreated. Again, I hope not, but we are car enthusiasts and sometimes we've been pulled over for basically no reason. It's always a great investment to protect yourself. Now, off to the part where I'm just stretching things out. I believe music goes synonymous with car culture, so I would definitely always say, especially for that person that's constantly working, if they have the ability to, or even just for the fact that they want to take a lunch break and relax, I'd suggest some headphones. It's so funny because I've always been against branding and of course you could find a lot of really good Amazon options, but it just got to the point where I needed something that worked and would work well, and unfortunately you do get what you pay for. I'm not advertising the brand, but these were the most affordable and most compact. One of the coolest things about Apple AirPods is their compact design and the fact that it's just so small and portable that even the Amazon options that I've gotten around to just don't compare how small AirPods are. Unfortunately, AirPods don't have the best audio quality, so you'll have to probably step it up if you're one of those people that's really picky about your audio. Now, this next one should be a no-brainer. Tools. The only reason why I didn't bring up tools and bring up a whole fancy toolbox is because tools are insanely expensive, and even for a decent starter toolkit with, like, let's say a ratchet and a few sockets, you'd probably be spending around like at least like $50. But again, that's for a very small kit. That's literally like one ratchet head and just a handful of sockets. Once you start getting to something a little more decent, you're looking at $100, $200. So if money isn't an issue, tools are definitely a way to go. And for those of you that think, hey, you know what, that tool lover in my life already has tools, you'll be surprised that you could still find things that people just didn't know they needed. I have tons of screwdrivers, but this thing has saved my life so many times. I found this on a clearance rack, and just to give you an idea, this is kind of a wrench style screwdriver, and it has like multiple heads, as you can see, but quite literally you could change the lock, so you can loosen and then just loosen, go back, loosen, or you could tighten where you're like, it's just like I said, this thing has just been really coming in clutch for a lot of things. So while it's not the one I use all the time, you'd be surprised that even though somebody might have the tool for the job, you can find something identical that's just better made or better designed or just stronger. So tools is kind of that like never-ending thing. The last two things, I mentioned novelty items earlier with car stuff, but there's novelty items for everything, and I'll give you a perfect example. So this is a Yahtzee board game that's in the shape of cup noodles, and the nice thing is the dice are basically like cup of noodle ingredients for the ramen lover in your life. This thing was $15, and if you've ever played Yahtzee, like I said, I don't know if you guys are board game fans, but I love Yahtzee. It's a really simple game, super fun, very similar to other card games in a sense. But you know, like I said, that's a reach. You can find novelty car items, whether it's little die-cast models or even Lego creating, you know, build a car models. You can find a lot of things. The last thing that's a stretch, just because I'm sure for those of you seeing my video have probably seen me drinking, ironically, something like this, an energy drink. And while I know it's a horrible thing, I've been trying to kick the habit or trying to do like healthier replacements. So there's of course healthier options made by large companies when it comes to energy drinks, such as like energy powders. I'm sure you guys have heard of G Fuel, and there's other competing brands like Gamer Supplements, things like that. But yeah, for those of you that are just trying to do a better health change, there are healthier alternatives. Now again, I'm not a doctor, so take this with a grain of salt, but if you do a little bit of research, you'll find that there are things that are kind of better, and I'm not just talking about tea and coffee, but the reason why I brought it up, a lot of these particular brands also do really cool items for their like shaker cups or even shirts. So Gamer Subs, which is one of the companies I was telling you about, makes these really cool waifu cups. And essentially whatever you fill this up with, of course it'll change the color of the flavor, and then it'll change the color of the waifu in hand. So they have tons of different designs of those, and it's really cool because they're actually teaming up with real life like influencers. So this one was actually a limited edition design that they made with a YouTube creator from Japan called Kaho-chan. So I of course jumped on it because I buy some of their supplements and whatnot, and then I even bought a matching shirt because I thought it was pretty neat. So again, I figured I would just kind of, like I said, this is a stretch, but this was like my little bonus round. So whether or not you have car specific products or just things that are attributed to likes such as pop culture or anime or things like that, you'll definitely find all sorts of product trinkets. I've found things for brands like Red Bull, Monster, Rockstar, and of course other things like beverage drinks like Coke, and then even alcohol drinks like Budweiser and Coors. So again, sky's the limit. Just type out what you're looking for in a search engine. A lot of times you'll find a lot of cool novelty things. But guys, that wraps this up. I know I kind of fired off things really quickly and I try to explain things as best as I could. Hopefully this gives you a few ideas. I know I do this video typically every year, so there might be some other recommendations in previous year videos that you might like better than this. And if so, by all means, go check those videos out, because there might be something there that's even more relevant than it is today that I just completely forgot. But again, I decided to focus on these because these were newer things that just, some of them are reiterations that people possibly forgot. But especially now with the KDM scene just getting bigger and bigger, and there just being more varieties. If you haven't been watching my videos, as you've seen, I've seen a huge rise in popularity with the Kia Forte as opposed to the Veloster. So that should just kind of give you an indication of where the car culture is going. It's just continuously growing and changing day by day. So again, hopefully this gave you some ideas and you can hop on some of these things before the holidays, because I know that that time is going to be pretty chaotic. As always, guys, thanks for all the love and support. Hopefully this video was helpful for you. Next week, we're going to go back into normal videos. And there might be a few weeks where I'll be posting double videos just to catch up, because I do have a lot of content, and I know I've been mentioning this before, but I just really need to get these things out because some of you guys have been requesting some of these things for months. And I apologize for being so backed up and not being able to release the stuff you've been asking for. So hopefully that stuff will be coming in the next weeks. But guys, please stay safe out there. Please stay positive, keep doing you, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye. See what I mean about being super forgetful? I forgot all about LED bulbs. So if you guys made it till this late and you wanted to remember to tell them, hey, watch till after the credits. LED bulbs, whether it's just for a particular like reverse light, a turn signal, or your headlights, of course headlights or fog lights, LED bulbs.